Now, Meg, riddle me this. How do you get Pikachu onto a bus?
Let me think about that. Do you Pokemon?
Right on. Yeah, you got it right in one go.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get Pikachu and Eevee on a Nintendo Switch?
That's a really great question. I don't know the answer to that.
You don't know the answer. Okay, so you don't Pokemon, but you Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee for the Nintendo Switch. How's that?
That's awful.
So now, all of our viewers on national television, all these guys are cringing in the background.
Yeah,
Let's do a
really
quick recap. What is Pokemon Let's Go all about?
It's super exciting. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. It's a new reimagining of the Pokemon Yellow game. It's a beautiful new chapter to the franchise and essentially brings a whole new experience to a casual gamers and a brand new Pokemon audience.
Now, it's a lovely, I guess, recollection of everything that is a Pokemon, but in essence, it's essentially just a reimagining. And when it all comes down to it, it is a fantastic reimagining for people who are just getting into the franchise, especially the younger generation. Like, some of the kids nowadays who are sitting there going like, oh, I've only watched, a couple of episodes of the anime, or I've kind of briefly experienced what Pokemon is all about, because all the older generations can't shut up about it. So, this game isn't essentially a game like Pokemon Sun or the mainline series, or like Alpha Sapphire, where there's a lot of systems, a lot of functions that a lot of kids might get confused about. So this serves as a fantastic entry point into the series, kind of getting you warmed up, dipping your toes in. And I'd say, as far as target audiences go, if that's what Nintendo were going for, they've done a pretty solid job of it.
Now, I've got to say, this is a must-have for anyone that owns a Nintendo Switch, and I know a lot of people that have waited especially to invest in the new hardware, especially for this game. Now, one thing I really love about this is there's a lot of fresh elements that they've integrated through the popular Pokemon Go mobile phone app. And it's really great because now, as you explore the worlds, instead of battling every Pokemon that you see as you stumble across them in the parks, you catch them and use your Pokeball that I've got here, and Matt has one too, or just simply just use your Joy-Cons, things like that.
My Charmeleon kit in the Pokeball just keeps shouting at me. I think he's a bit angry. He's telling me to wrap it up. So with that, I guess a lot of people are really scared about this and a bit skeptical because they're like, well,
the gimmicks is real. Nintendo's really big with gimmicks.
And we're not battling Pokemon. We're essentially catching them, and it may seem a bit too simplified and a bit dumbed down. I prefer the term simplified and streamlined in this regard.
Yeah.
So when it all comes down to it, you're catching the Pokemon instead of battling them, and it kind of takes all the guesswork out of weakening the Pokemon, throwing the ball.
That's right.
All you need is to know about the catch rate of the Pokeball itself, and utilizing a couple of berries that will help sweeten the deal. Again, same interactions and same mechanics involved with Pokemon Go, and the way they interact and integrate it is actually a lot better than I thought they would.
That's great. Essentially, you can transfer your Pokemon from the Pokemon Go mobile game, which is a really cool addition. But my thing is kind of like the Star Wars Battlefront thing, where if you just can pay for the really great OP DLC from the start instead of earning it, will this affect your experience in the earlier levels? I mean, you were saying to me earlier that if you transfer your Pokemon across from Pokemon Go, you can't have them back on the app.
Yes.
So it's a one-way transfer, which I think is a really big incentive to keep it level playing field.
Yep. My Charmeleon won't shut up, honestly. Okay, continuing onwards. Now, I do kind of agree a little bit with that sentiment that it is a bit of a letdown the way they integrated it, because I can understand where they're coming from, where it's like we're trying not to duplicate legendary Pokemon, or they're trying not to duplicate certain Pokemon with really good IV and stuff, because people would be on that just katsudon on rice. It would be ridiculous. So when it comes down to it, I'm like, I understand the interactions with that and some of the drawbacks, but also at the same time, it feels a bit too much like a gimmick. They had to remove Savary Zone completely to make way for Go Park, and it feels more like a gimmicky thing of I'm only going to do it maybe twice or 3 times, laugh at it and go, yeah, it's kind of cool, and then never use it again.
There's a great element where you can battle with your friends, like on Wi-Fi or on the land as well, but also trading to your friends too, which is really great because there are exclusive Pokemon in each, so that ones that you can't get straight up in Eevee or Pikachu.
And it does increase incentive to do that, so it's very similar to the mainline games in that sense, where you've got stuff like, well, this person has a Growlithe, and then you pass it over to the Pikachu save, and then vice versa. So again, there's lots of incentives to kind of interact with people, but at the same time, being able to battle with friends, that's also awesome too. But the one thing that I'm kind of a little bit on the fence about, and I also love, is the Pokemon peripheral as we see here.
Yes.
Now, this one in particular is a motion control for the Switch, so you can either play with the Joy-Con left, the Joy-Con right, the handheld mode, or this. Now, this one is great because you can actually pop a Pokemon on here and take it with you. It's got an inbuilt pedometer, so you can actually gain experience, grind berries, get candy, and level up. Really, really awesome. The bad thing about this is once you put this in TV mode, it basically forces you to use motion controls, and the motion controls are not the best. That's it. So
are they really not accurate?
No. So The thing is with
I
that
know
is
any
that
doubles.
you can throw and it's really cool. You have to be really deliberate with your throws, but sometimes it kind of goes a little bit weird, especially when you're trying to catch Zubats or Mr. Mimes. It's really, really bad. So I would
Yeah.
highly recommend for people who want to play this properly, go into handheld mode. The gyro sensor is far more reliable than the motion
The gyro
controls.
sensor rocks. Like I find this, I don't want to use this in public. I'm not really sure about you guys, but like I'm.
Oh yeah,
No,
those
not me.
nerds. No, no, no. I get it. I
No.
understand. I understand.
Yeah. Essentially, what I really liked about this game is the connections that it really tries to create with the user and the Pokemon in the game. You have obviously Pikachu or Eevee as your pal, like your buddy.
Or I've got a Charmeleon that won't shut up.
Correct, Mundo.
Yes,
and
yes.
essentially, it's got a lot of elements where you can customize them, give them outfits, cute haircuts, and or by rubbing their heads like Nintendo style. And it's a lot of emotional connection they've tried to establish there to get the younger audience on board.
And it's definitely endearing. And when it all comes down to it, like brass tacks, they seem to have nailed it fairly significantly with Pokemon Let's Go. It's definitely sure and certain that they weren't going for the competitive angle on this. And if people come in expecting that, then that's essentially their own fault, if for lack of a better term. But for everybody else, for some of the younger generations or people like myself, and I'm going to say the dreaded C word on national television, for the casual audiences who really want to get or dip their toe back into Pokemon, this is probably the best avenue so far to get into it before the next mainline game comes out on the Nintendo Switch.
I agree. This is the longest time I've ever spent with a Pokemon game ever, and I'm addicted to it. It's the perfect, it's the perfect game that I was looking for on the Switch to grind and really never feel like time is passing. I can't recommend it enough, and it's definitely a must-have.